Thousands of meters beneath the surface, the ocean is a black, freezing void. It is an environment so hostile to human life that for most of our history, the creatures living down here remained completely hidden in the dark. On the rare occasions these animals did appear on the surface, they were treated as omens. For centuries, Japanese legends warned that the sudden arrival of an oarfish, a strange, rubbery giant from the deep, meant a devastating earthquake was imminent. Recently, these deep-sea residents have started washing ashore again in unprecedented numbers across the globe. To understand why they are surfacing, we actually have to look back to a military anomaly from World War II. This animated diagram of a naval sonar display illustrates what operators were seeing during nighttime patrols. According to their instruments, the solid ocean floor appeared to detach and physically rise hundreds of meters toward the surface. The military initially classified this as an equipment glitch, but it was entirely real. Navy technicians had accidentally stumbled onto an entirely hidden, massive ecosystem. The deep ocean holds a highly coordinated biological system, and the modern appearance of the oarfish on our beaches suggests that this ancient system is now beginning to break down. We have mapped better, more complete models of the surface of Mars than we have of our own ocean floor. As you drop away from the surface, the defining feature of this environment becomes the absolute lack of solar energy. This depth chart shows exactly how light degrades in seawater. Water acts as a powerful filter, absorbing longer wavelengths first. By the time you reach 100 meters down, the red band of the light spectrum vanishes completely. Because there is no red light to reflect back to an observer's eye, any creature down here colored red is rendered perfectly invisible. It acts as an incredibly effective natural camouflage against predators. Further down, in absolute darkness, life has to generate its own illumination. Through a chemical reaction called bioluminescence, deep-sea animals mix luciferin and luciferase to produce light, allowing them to hunt, attract mates, or distract threats. Cut off entirely from the sun, survival down here requires operating under a completely different set of physical rules than life on land. Those rules are what created the World War II sonar mystery. That false rising seafloor was actually billions of individual deep-sea creatures, packed so densely together that their bodies bounced the naval sound waves back to the surface. Biologists call this the tidal vertical migration. During daylight hours, massive swarms of zooplankton, squid, and small fish hide in the dark depths to avoid large predators like whales and sharks. Then, under the cover of night, they swim vertically towards the surface to feed on microscopic plants called phytoplankton, which require sunlight to grow and only exist at the top of the water column. This synchronized movement happens every single day, across every ocean on the planet. By sheer biomass, it is the largest daily animal migration on Earth. But marine biologists are observing a severe disruption to this pattern. In several regions, these dense layers of creatures are swimming to the surface at night, but they are not returning to the deep during the day. They are trapped. The largest and oldest biological migration on our planet is suddenly losing its rhythm, signaling that something in the deep is physically forcing these animals toward the light. Over the last century, the oceans have absorbed roughly 90. Because warm water is less dense than cold water, it floats on top. As the surface layer absorbs more solar heat, the temperature gap widens, and these two distinct layers effectively stop mixing. As you can see here, this creates a thermal barrier. Oxygen absorbed from the atmosphere cannot circulate down into the deep sea. The bottom layers are slowly being drained of breathable oxygen, creating expanding dead zones. Deep-sea animals have evolved over millions of years in highly stable, oxygen-rich environments. To avoid suffocating in these new dead zones, they are fleeing upward into the abnormally warm, predator-filled surface waters. The oarfish appearing on our beaches are refugees, animals that suffocated while fleeing a deep-sea environment that can no longer support them. By shifting the physical density layers of the water, climate change is turning the deep sea from a biological sanctuary into a trap. This local collapse triggers a massive global problem due to a mechanism known as the biological pump. When deep-sea creatures eat surface plankton, they ingest carbon. When they swim back down, they drag that carbon into the abyss, safely locking it away from the atmosphere. If the tidal vertical migration stops because the deep ocean is unlivable, that biological pump shuts down. The carbon stays near the surface, eventually releasing back into the air, creating a feedback loop that accelerates global warming. As this biological system begins to falter, it faces a second entirely human threat: Industrial corporations are currently testing massive, heavy-duty mining machines designed to tear up the seafloor in search of rare metals. We possess the technological capacity to shred an environment we have barely begun to map. Between the suffocating heat of a stratified ocean and the cutting drums of deep-sea mining, humanity is dismantling one of the planet's most crucial life support systems, long before we even fully understand how it works.